Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Hedera and Hbar. So let's just dive in and let's start with this from Hbar to the moon. So we do see not a bad Saturday for Hedera and Hbar. Obviously you meant Saturday, but it's all good. And yeah, we did see the transactions up about 307%. This is huge. Since then, we have seen them drop. We'll address that here in a second. But also, I want to share with you guys real quick what Hedera put out over on Twitter. And this is from realtps.net. You guys can go check this out if you want. This shows you all the TPS going on in the entire market. I do think that this is actually a little bit more accurate than what we do see over here from like Hedera transactions. This is showing us all of the current transactions that are going on. You can actually refresh this. I don't know how much this actually fully refreshes or like what the time frame is on it. But these are the TPSs that are typically what we see. It might just average them together. I'm not too sure on that or how this works fully. But this is what we've seen posted over on Twitter from Hedera. And we do see that Hedera is actually the number 3 token on the list in terms of chains for TPS. So this is great. We are actually above Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, Algorand, Ethereum. I mean, this is actually pretty crazy to look at and kind of compare to some of these tokens and their prices. And I think that this exclamation point here is just kind of data is too old. So that's what it says, like data is too old when you scroll over it. So it might just be because like Solana has had issues in the past with TPS reporting. So we don't really know what the TPS is on Solana right now. A lot of people, want to create FUD around Solana, which is totally fine if you want to. But to me personally, I don't get anything out of that. So I don't really care to, really focus on that. But we did see it, and we do see we're just going to leave this here from Hedera. A lot of people were commenting on it, which is great to see. But honestly, what I really want to see is Hedera being at number 1 here. I want to see a lot more TPS because although, yeah, like this might be a little bit more of an accurate depiction on what we do see in terms of like TPS, this is the real live time TPS. In my opinion, I do think that 16 TPS for what Hedera is really kind of focused on and what they have been building is abysmal. I think that this is terrible, and you guys do see it dropping down to 6 TPS. Now, does this mean that Hedera has failed and that Hbar is a terrible investment? No, not necessarily. In fact, I actually think that right now, as we look at Hedera, I think that what they have been telling us for a little over a year and 2, or I should say a year and 6 months, almost 2 years, what they have been telling us is that, listen, we are here to create an enterprise-grade DLT. We are focused on that area, and I think that they have succeeded in that area. In fact, I think that the transactions per second and the transactional growth is going to have a little bit of a slow start right now because of the market conditions and where we are at currently. But in the last 7 days, in the last 1 week, we have seen transactions kind of drop about 17%, nothing too crazy there. In terms of the last 1 month, we're still up about 120%, which is pretty great to see. In 1 year, I think that we can actually compare this to the last 1 year. We're down about 40.45%. Now, a lot of people look at this as a very negative aspect, but you do see that the October transactions have shadowed almost every single major month, even going all the way back to March. So this is great to see. It means that we are seeing something happen. But what we are really kind of waiting for is a full-on enterprise-grade use case going live. Now, that's the big thing, and everyone is really kind of focused on that. In fact, when we look at what Avery Dennison is doing with Atma, Atma is supposed to go live in the fall timeframe. We are nearing November, so we should be expecting that any time now. And I know that it really kind of gets hopeless waiting for those TPS demanding use cases to go live. But what I have seen in this market, and I've seen it many times as well, is that these things do take time. There's a lot of NDAs, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of things that go on. And I think that is great that it is taking as long as it is, simply because like they are focused on making sure that it is right. But I think in the short term, we are noticing that Hedera is kind of too early almost in a sense. But I think that long term, I think that Hbar will pay off. It is one of my biggest bets. In fact, you guys know me. Casper recently is my number one holding, and it has been my number one holding for a little bit of time now, followed by a few other tokens. A0 is actually now in my top 3. LCX is now in my top 3. HBAR is still in my top 5, and I do accumulate HBAR when I do have the time to, and when I do have the funds to. So HBAR is still up there in terms of my list. Now, recently, we have seen a few tokens actually starting to break out, even though the market conditions aren't really kind of accepting it, but we have been seeing a lot of tokens jumping out. Dogecoin has been one of the most recent ones. In fact, Casper even was one of the most recent ones, up about like 100%. We did see Q&T doing a massive move from the summertime lows to now, which I think it hit like 230 some dollars, off of the low of about like $40. It was insane. So when we look at a lot of these tokens, they are starting to break out. And we actually do see over here from Kevin Cage, he's comparing the Dogecoin run up to the HBAR run up. And we do see HBAR kind of just sitting still down at the lows. Again, you could see what Dogecoin did. Kind of very similar in its own move, where it does kind of make that little bit of a high and then kind of gets completely rejected off of it. Again, very similar chart here actually. And when we look at this, Dogecoin did hit the 382. This is about 14 cents for Dogecoin. It's actually pretty crazy that we're even comparing Dogecoin to HBAR right now. But when we look at the 382 for HBAR, we could also see that this would be about nearly the 14-cent range. And right now, if we actually look at this, this would be about a 72% run up to the 236, and then to, of course, the 382, which is the same exact area that Dogecoin outreached to so far. This would be about 145%. But what I'm really looking at is the 200 EMA. And this on the 3-day span, by the way. So this would be about 156% of a run up. This would be about it's like 14 cents just in general. The interesting thing about this that I actually look at is the fact that this would be back into the summer demand channel. So if we could actually flip the 382 into support, that would be incredible to see, because that would solidify us going even higher to possibly 18 cents. And then so far after that, we really kind of target like the 702 to the 786, and then maybe we go to the all-time highs. But this would be an incredible run up. Like I said, Dogecoin recently did do this nice run up to about, this is a 200% run up already on Dogecoin. I seen like the number one like Dogecoin holder out there that became a millionaire, the Doge millionaire. He was posting about his gains. The funny thing is that most of his gains are actually still losses, because he didn't sell at the all-time high on Doge, which is crazy to me. I would have 100% capitalized on selling at like 70 cents. And rebuying back down here, because that's like life-changing wealth if you would have bought back down here and even sold up on this run up. It's insane. But nonetheless, I do believe that HBAR is building for a huge breakout. I think that's going to catch a lot of people off guard. I think that, yeah, we could still come down to 4.5 cents. So, don't go all in or anything like that. But I have been averaging in at around this like 5.5 cent zone, because it just makes sense to me, at least. I know long term that the valuation of Hedera with the 50 billion supply, okay, like the 50 billion supply is nothing too crazy in my opinion. I think that it will be very successful. At a $2 price, even if we're accounting for the full-on supply, it's a $100 billion market cap. That is nothing too crazy when you compare it to the all-time highs of some of these tokens, like even Dogecoin at 77 cents. And a lot of people are expecting Dogecoin to even go higher now, to possibly like $1 plus, which is, again, absurd to me, because when you look at the market cap and you look at the market cap comparing it to something like Hedera with HBAR, it's just insane. But also, what could also ignite the run-up on HBAR is also how much TVL is being locked up. Recently, I talked to you guys about how we are nearing the 1.5 billion HBAR being total value locked on Stater. This is actually a huge, milestone. I think that this would be great, and the TVL here is sitting at about $158.7 million. That is just an insane amount of money to be locked up in terms of staking. Again, like this is 1.5 billion HBAR almost. That's crazy to me. And when we look at the TVL, again, TVL is up only about 2.35%. But we do see this continuously rising, and we did see it really kind of spike up back in August, and I think that this is when SaucerSwap went fully live. I remember going to the Twitter Spaces for it, which was very fun actually. But we are seeing a ton of it, and you could actually see if you include in TVL like all of this other stuff, you could do that as well. Liquid staking is also included if you want. You could do all of this if you wanted to as well. Like this is $107.42 million. You could see the full-on breakdown going all the way back to April of 2022. We've seen that massive drop here back in July to about like $36.23 million, but this has been rising drastically. I mean, if we continue to see the TVL rise and we hit like $1 billion, that would be a massive milestone for anybody who is holding HBAR. You also do see stater dominance here sitting at about almost 82%. Like I said, that 1.5 almost billion HBAR locked up is crazy to me. Also, we recently made a video on Bubble Swap. Bubble Swap is sitting at about almost 1.7 million here, which is great. A lot of these are growing rapidly. And you could see the 1 month span change here. Obviously, like this percentage down here on Bubble Swap is crazy, but you know, it's just really because it's new. We're seeing a lot more TVL being locked up on Hedera. We're seeing a lot more DeFi projects going live, and I think that this is going to be very exciting. I think that this is going to be the area where we really kind of focus a lot of our attention. It's just TVL. We recently launched a new partnership as well, which was very exciting, which was with an OnlyFans team members. This is Zoop. This is a project that is centered on digital celebrity collectibles trading platform created by the team members responsible for turning OnlyFans into a billion-dollar unicorn. They have selected Hedera as their DLT of choice. And yeah, I think that this is great. I mean, like, honestly, we just talked about Web3. We talked about what's happening around this space. We are seeing a lot more adoption here. In fact, you know, we even do see down here that this is Zoop's celebrity avatars built on Hedera will be available across 4,000 plus supported apps and games throughout the metaverse. So this is going to ignite a huge amount of volume to come over to Hedera. And I think that we are going to continue to see projects like this continue to launch on Hedera because of there's a whole bunch of things that really kind of are empowering these major projects to come over here. First off, you look at the sustainability, you look at the cost, you look at the interoperability, everything that Hedera has been focused on for a while is really morphing it into the DLT of choice for a lot of these huge use cases like this. And a lot of people will look at this and say, well, this is really not that big of a use case. But I think that some of these platforms that don't seem like much morph into things that are a lot bigger. Again, we kind of go back to the images over here, and a lot of the TPS that you see on this screen, even Solana, I mean, like, Solana was a token that did very well. I mean, listen, as much as people want to hate on it, that's totally fine, but to look at Solana and say, okay, well, going back to 2020, and in less than a full-on, like, this was less than 2 years in the making, this thing did a 500x run-up. A lot of people will say, well, it's because it was VC-backed, it was this, it was that. Listen, it doesn't matter what caused this to do this. This did a 520x move. A lot of people were calling this the next Ethereum. A lot of people were saying this, that, whatever, because of the adoption of Solana through NFTs, through retail-driven products. Listen, as lucrative and as exciting, enterprise-grade use cases sound, what really matters as well is other use cases like this one, because this could generate a ton of volume and value to be transacted over Hedera. So them really kind of focusing on the metaverse, focusing on NFTs, focused on this Web3 journey, this is going to pay off. And I do think that's going to pay off in a very short amount of time as well, because remember, a lot of these tokens that do move, they move because of the marketability behind them in terms of the retail spotlight. So this is very exciting. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely hit that like button, subscribe to notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. If you guys are on this before, this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.